A voice born of faith and family. Whitney Houston's journey begins in a place of praise. Before the bright lights, before the sold-out arenas, there was a church in Newark, New Jersey. A young girl stood among choirs and hymns, absorbing faith through sound. Music was not entertainment in her home. It was ministry, discipline, and heritage. Born into a family of celebrated singers, Whitney learned early that talent was a responsibility. Her mother, Sissy Houston, demanded excellence. Her church demanded sincerity. Together, they shaped a voice that carried both power and reverence. From the beginning, Whitney did not just sing, she testified, discovering a gift meant for the world. As Whitney grew, it became impossible to ignore what she carried. Her voice was effortless, yet commanding, pure tone wrapped in emotion. When industry executives finally heard her, they recognized something rare, a voice that could reach hearts across generations and cultures. But discovery came with pressure. The world did not simply want Whitney to sing, it wanted her to be flawless. Expectations formed quickly, and the gift that opened doors also began to shape an identity defined by performance. Still, Whitney stepped forward, believing her voice had purpose beyond herself, rising to greatness on a global stage. Whitney's ascent was historic. Her debut changed the sound of popular music. Hit followed hit, record followed record. She dominated charts, awards, and airwaves with a voice that felt both intimate and grand. The world didn't just listen, it believed. Yet behind the applause was relentless demand. Perfection became routine. Every note was expected to soar. Every appearance had to confirm greatness. While audiences saw confidence, Whitney carried the invisible weight of always needing to be extraordinary, breaking barriers and redefining possibility. Whitney stood at the intersection of culture, race, and genre. She crossed musical boundaries that once confined Black artists, expanding what mainstream success could look like. But with that success came criticism, from those who felt she had gone too far and from those who felt she hadn't gone far enough. She was judged for who she represented rather than who she was. Yet Whitney kept singing. In doing so, she redefined possibility, not just for herself, but for generations of artists who would follow. Her presence alone became a statement of inclusion, love, vulnerability, and human longing. Beyond the stage, Whitney was a woman longing for connection. Fame did not shield her from the desire to be loved deeply and genuinely. Her romantic life became a source of fascination and judgment, turning private moments into public spectacle. Under constant scrutiny, Whitney struggled to separate her public identity from her personal heart. Like many, she searched for stability in relationships while navigating fame's isolating effects. Her vulnerability reminded us that even icons ache for belonging, strength in the midst of silent battles. As expectations grew, so did Whitney's internal struggles. The pressures of fame, control, and perfection began to take their toll. Substance abuse and emotional exhaustion entered quietly, then lingered loudly. The world speculated. Whitney endured. Yet even in her weakest moments, her resilience remained visible. She showed up. She fought. She survived days that demanded more than applause could ever repay. Her battles were not signs of failure. They were signs of humanity under extreme weight. Standing tall through public trials, the spotlight that once celebrated Whitney became unforgiving. Missed notes and canceled performances were magnified into headlines. Public compassion grew scarce as criticism grew loud. The same voice once called the greatest was now measured against its past. Still, Whitney stood. She faced crowds knowing expectations were frozen in time, and in doing so, she revealed a deeper strength, the courage to be seen while imperfect, and the bravery to continue despite judgment, choosing hope, healing, and renewal. Whitney never stopped reaching for restoration. She entered recovery. She returned to the studio. She performed again, not always flawlessly, but honestly. Becoming a mother brought moments of grounding and purpose, reminding her of life beyond the stage. Her journey toward healing was uneven, but sincere. Each attempt reflected hope, the belief that brokenness did not have the final word. Whitney's persistence taught us that renewal is not about erasing the past, but about choosing to keep going. Grace in the final season. In her final years, Whitney's life grew quieter and more fragile. Her voice had changed, shaped by time and experience, yet its emotional truth remained. When she passed, the world paused, not only to mourn her death, but to reflect on her life. Her final season was not defined by perfection, but by grace. Grace in endurance, grace in vulnerability, grace in being remembered as more than a headline. A legacy that still teaches the world to believe. Whitney Houston's voice still lives. It lives in the artists she inspired, the songs that continue to uplift, and the lessons her life leaves behind. She taught the world about excellence, but also about compassion, about the cost of greatness, about faith, fragility, and forgiveness. Whitney was not just a voice, she was a journey, and her legacy reminds us that even through struggle, a life can still sing hope into the world forever. Please like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Thank you. Let's continue. A voice that defined a generation. Celebrate Whitney's extraordinary talent and influence. Early life, family background, gospel roots, and childhood in Newark. Breakthrough, the Bodyguard soundtrack, chart-topping hits, and global fame. Cultural impact, why Whitney's voice became iconic worldwide. Tone, inspirational, highlighting her artistry while laying the foundation for understanding the pressures behind the spotlight. Fame, stress, and expectations. Explore the personal costs of extreme fame. Media scrutiny, tabloids, public opinion, and unrealistic beauty/fame standards. Touring and recording pressures, constant travel, performance demands, and personal sacrifices. Emotional toll, isolation, strained relationships, and the struggle to maintain privacy. Empathetic, showing the human behind the superstar persona. Health struggles and substance use. Examine Whitney's well-documented battles with addiction and its effects on her health. Timeline of substance use, cocaine, marijuana, prescription medications, and alcohol. Physical and mental health impact, heart stress, fatigue, anxiety, and depression. Family and professional interventions, attempts at rehab and therapy, informative but non-sensational, focus on education about addiction. The final days before February 11th, 2012, chronicle the events leading up to her death. Grammy weekend, public appearances and social events. Time at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, routine, mood, and interactions. Reports from staff and friends, hints of struggles, fatigue, or stress. Tone, factual and chronological, setting the scene without speculation. The official cause of death explained. Present the medical findings in clear, understandable terms. Autopsy report, accidental drowning in a bathtub. Contributing factors, heart disease and effects of cocaine use. Clarify misconceptions. Whitney did not die from a single cause, but a combination of medical and lifestyle factors.